The webinar today. You can find more information at iabtechlab.com/omsdk. That's the page that we'll keep updating all the information, any future announcements. Everything is available on this page. I think for support, there is a support URL, omsdk support at iabtechlab.com. If you're integrating and encountering any issues, feel free to send an email to that. That's the main mechanism we have set up for now. And as we scale up, we're looking at adding like an FAQ page, also starting a generic Google group or a forum page to ask questions. For now, those members who are part of the working group have access to a Slack channel. So this working group is slightly different than other working groups. It requires a specific participation agreement, which is designed to ensure protection of IP that is being contributed by all the commit group members. And to those who sign up for that agreement and be part of the working group, we do provide access to the source code. There is a very active, vibrant Slack channel for discussions that's available. But we will also try to make a kind of forum available for those who are not part of the working group separately as we scale up. So with that, we have only 2 minutes left. We're slightly running over time, but I know there were a few questions. So Meena, maybe we have time for like 3 or 4 questions.
Sure. So the first question is, when is vPaid support expected to be included?
So regarding vPaid, so OM SDK as such is not planning to support vPaid injection or measurement through vPaid methods. We are aligning towards the VAST ad verifications node. That's how the OM SDK is designed, and probably the first channel through which the ad verifications node and VAST can be used. And right now it's only in-app, so whereas the vPaid support anyway is very, very limited on in-app environments. When we go to web and VAST 4.1 that is scheduled to be released in Q2, we will have more updates on how you manage when the two type of methods are coexisting. Like the vPaid will be there in some environments, and then OMSDK will be there in some environments as it ramps up. So that guidance will be provided with the 4.1 release. So please look out for that later in Q2. We'll have more guidance on how to manage with coexisting standards.
Is there a cost to test and use the SDK with the Tech Lab as part of the instructions to onboard?
There's no cost to download or test the SDK. It's provided completely free through the portal. If you opt for the compliance certification service, it's a paid service, as I mentioned earlier. So there is definitely a cost to that for Tech Lab members, and there's a different price for those who are not Tech Lab members. Next.
How do we get the partner name assigned to us?
So the partner name is the namespace name that you get from the portal. That's your partner name.
How often will we need to update the SDK as an app developer, and will this require app submissions? Are there drawbacks to not updating the SDK?
So the SDK, like I said, we are releasing every 2 weeks. We are following the semantic version of a major release, minor release, fixes. All the releases within a major release we're going to ensure that they are backward compatible. But the major release, when you change from 1.x to 2.x, may contain breaking changes. And then when you get the release, there's a change log that identifies the fixes or the changes that have been made. And whenever there are going to be any significant changes of features or functionality, we will make sure that we market and publicize that properly to everyone. So that's a decision that you can make based on your product life cycles as to when to upgrade. And when we think that there are significant functionality changes that we want people to upgrade to, we will definitely publicize that.
Can you explain how the lack of support of vPaid will affect in-app viewability measurement?
Uh, like I said, that this OMSDK is designed to measure viewability on its own. It doesn't need VPaid. So once you have OMSDK integrated, there's no need for VPaid to be used.
We have time for more.
Yeah, we can go to one or two more if you want.
Are there any future plans in the Namespace portal to create a customized namespace?
Not right now, but we'll put that in our backlog for prioritization.
How would the namespace framework work in Objective-C integrations?
That's a little more technical than I can get. Alex, do you want to take that if you're still online?
Sure. Yeah, in addition to namespace in the module and the framework itself, we also namespaced every class. So there is no risk in loading two SDKs side by side as long as they have different namespace.
Just one more.
Sorry. Is the add session error event also mandatory to fire, as it was not covered in the demo video?
Alex, I think that would be, again.
Could you repeat that?
The add session error event, is it mandatory to fire, as it was not covered in the demo video?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the demo video did not cover everything, unfortunately, but there is documentation that covers more events. General recommendation is that if you can identify a relevant event programmatically, you should definitely fire it, and that goes for error event as well.
Any more, Shirley?
I think, yeah, we can make it a good 5 minutes over, so maybe one more question.
Sure. Why would you recommend an extension resident implementation of verification in VAST 4.0 when it already includes the add verifications node?
So 4.1, 4.0, in 4.1 there, I think there is an addition of something called verification parameters that wasn't present in 4.0. That's why we are putting 4.0 together with 2 and 3, so to differentiate it from 4.1.
In the display third-party advertiser initiated scenario, how does the measurement vendor tag need to be configured within the HTML?
Sar, do you want to take that?
Yeah, it just needs to be included as a strict reference to the tag, so it's basically a JavaScript tag.
Our applications already include many SDKs, including Google's IMA, Moat, ComScore, etc. Is this OM SDK yet another SDK we have to integrate, or does IMA, Moat SDKs already support OM?
So that's so if you're an app and you already you use other SDKs for your monetization purposes, for serving and rendering your ads, then you don't need to integrate OM SDK separately. You would get it through Google's IMA or GMA SDK or any other provider like InMobi or AdColony or Tapjoy that you're using. But if you are a publisher that is serving and rendering your own ad, like you have your own mechanisms to do that, then you would need to integrate the OM SDK. That's the key differentiation.
It's also worth noting that as verification vendors, we've all basically agreed to deprecate our own proprietary SDKs in favor of open measurement. So even if you've got, say, like the IAS SDK that's integrated, we'll be transitioning everyone over to open measurement as opposed to the IAS SDK. So basically, new features will not be rolled out on proprietary SDKs, and we hope to have everyone transition over to just the single open measurement SDK.
Thanks, Jeff. I think, Meena, that's about it. We're 5-6 minutes over. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And once again, I'll repeat the iabtechlab.com/omsdk. That's the page to get all the information. We will post the webinar recordings as well as the recordings of the demos that Alex showed on the website. And any questions that were not answered, we'll prepare an FAQ with those questions and post those too. So if your question was not answered today, then you will still have the answer later on when we post the webinar archives. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And thanks to all the speakers for a fantastic webinar. Bye.
Thank you.